You want to know what real betrayal feels like? Watch your lake vanish, inch by inch, while the folks who did it tell you you're crazy. That's how it started for me. Sitting on my dock with a mug of coffee, staring out at a surface so still and blue it looked painted on, only to realize something was off, something I could feel in my bones. They said I was overreacting, said it was just a dry spell, or blamed the rain, but I knew this water, every rise and fall, every ripple. So when the line of moss on my shore dropped and the stones started showing, it wasn't just bad luck. It was sabotage. Yeah, that happened. And nobody wanted to hear it. Let me back up a sec. I moved out here after leaving the army, bought an old place by the water, made it mine, me and my late wife, and for the last decade or so, just me and Buckley, my floppy-eared mutt. This dock, this little slice of peace, it's where I figured things out after she passed, where I kept my head straight, where I could still hear her in the wind sometimes. So when I saw that water drop, it wasn't just property to me. It was the only thing I'd left that felt real. That morning, I followed the shoreline, Buckley trotting along, nose to the ground, heading up toward the creek inlet, the lifeline that's fed this lake longer than any of these cookie-cutter homes have stood. It wasn't even dawn yet, dew still clinging to the grass, but something was pulling me, telling me to look closer. Sure enough, where the creek should have bubbled down into the lake, all I found was a pool of stagnant mud and a wall of sandbags and concrete, thrown up in a hurry, right across the flow. The HOA. Of course it was. They'd cut the creek, maybe to keep their new jogging path from flooding, maybe to make their koi pond look fancier. Who knows? But whatever they were thinking, they'd stopped the water cold, right at the root, and didn't tell a soul who actually lived off that lake. I just stood there, boots in the mud, staring at their half-baked dam, and felt something old and angry wake up inside me. The kind of slow-burning rage I thought I'd left behind when I packed up my uniforms. You ever notice how, when you try to do the right thing, people treat you like the problem? First thing I did was grab every camera, every drone, every notebook I owned and started collecting proof. Pictures of the water line dropping, drone footage of the dam, the construction, the dying creek. I sent a letter to the HOA, calm, clear, packed with facts, reminding them that you can't just block a waterway in this state. Not without permits, not without telling the landowners. I even quoted the damn county code. And you know what I got in return? A visit from Barbara Ridgway, the vice chair. Blazer, fake smile, the whole routine. She sat across from me on my patio, declined my coffee, told me it was all temporary, part of a beautification project. Said the water diversion wouldn't last. Said they had engineers on it. Said not to worry. I told her straight, you can't just shut off the creek because it's convenient. Not without risking the whole lake, the whole neighborhood. She looked at me like I was the crazy one, like I was making trouble for nothing. We're fostering community here, she said. I nearly choked. Community, right? Tell that to the frogs, the fish, the trees dying along my shoreline. But they wouldn't listen. Nobody ever does, not at first. By the end of the week, the water was down a foot. The birds stopped coming. The mud cracked and stank. Even the retired couple 2 doors down noticed. Gary and Elise, they stopped me on my walk to complain about the smell, the vanishing minnows, the creeping silence. It's never been like this, they said. I told them I'd already filed complaints, already called the city, already documented every inch of damage. But until it hit the HOA's wallet, nothing would change. So I kept pushing. Sent my files to the county environmental office. Attached every photo, every timestamp, every code violation I could find. 3 days later, a city inspector showed up, clipboard, vest, boots, pacing the trail, shaking his head, taking pictures. By noon, he was gone, but that's when Barbara called me again, her voice cold and tight. You went behind our backs, she said. We're trying to build community. I told her she was trying to bury the truth, and if she didn't fix the dam, the city would do it for her. What do you think happened next? The HOA tried to hit back. Left me a notice of noncompliance in my mailbox, said my drone flights were unauthorized, threatened me with fines and legal action for surveillance. It would have been funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Meanwhile, word started spreading, quiet at first, then picking up. A young couple across the lake, Jared and Tina, showed up at my door, scared about cracks in their yard, asking if their property was at risk. I told them the truth. Erosion doesn't care about HOA boundaries. Water gone means soil shifts, and nobody's foundation is safe when the basin dries out. The lake dropped lower. More neighbors started noticing. The HOA tried sandbags and fences, patched jobs on the trail, but the earth doesn't forgive that easy. Then came the collapse. Not a bang, but a slow, ugly sag. One morning, the jogging path buckled, a long fissure running right through the HOA's prized east trail. Next thing you know, the clubhouse lost power, the retaining wall was hanging by a thread, and the whole east bank was taped off with city warning signs. Barbara went on the local news, called it a freak geological event, claimed it was all the rain's fault. Never mentioned the dam, never said sorry. But I did. Gave my own interview, showed them the evidence. The story spread, neighbors, city council, environmental groups. Everyone saw it, everyone knew. Even the HOA's own members started questioning, and that's when things really started shifting. No more hiding behind rules and fences. Within days, the Department of Environmental Protection sent their own people. They walked straight to the creek, saw the dam, wrote their reports. HOA fines started piling up, city orders landed on the bulletin board, and Barbara's mask slipped for good. She called me one last time, voice tired, desperate, asked what it would take to end this. I told her, tear down the dam, restore the creek, pay for an independent hydrological survey, resign. She didn't argue. The next day, the crew showed up with sledgehammers, and the dam came down stone by stone. The water came rushing back like it had been waiting for the signal. I stood by the inlet, Buckley beside me, and watched the lake start to breathe again. The aftermath? Well, the city issued a stop work order on all HOA projects. The DEP cited them for every violation in the book. Rumors flew about lawsuits and insurance claims, and one by one, neighbors started admitting they'd been wrong. Left notes, beers, even muffins on my porch. Tina emailed me her insurance documents to check over. Gary brought down a folding chair and a flask, sat with me on the dock, and said, "We almost let them bury the truth." And he was right. It's not that most people are bad. They're just comfortable until the ground cracks open under their feet. Barbara resigned, quietly, no fanfare. The HOA sent out a letter promising transparency, invited me to their new lake rehabilitation panel. I passed. Didn't want a seat at a table built on denial. Instead, I kept watching the water, tracking every inch, logging every returning bird, every new patch of reeds. The restoration was slow, but the land remembered. The water levels rose, the mud healed, dragonflies came back. The trail stayed closed, weeds claiming what asphalt couldn't hold. The silence on the HOA side spoke louder than any apology. You know what really got me? A letter taped to my door and signed, just a neighbor's apology. So they'd spoken out against me at the last HOA meeting, said they were wrong. Thanked me for saving something they didn't deserve. No name, just regret and relief. That's the part nobody sees coming, the way guilt changes a neighborhood. People stopped looking away, started asking questions, even the ones who'd once crossed the street to avoid me. The earth heals slower than we'd like, but it does heal. By fall, the geese came back, the kids played along the shore, and for the first time in months, it felt like life was returning, not just to the lake, but to the people too. One realtor came by, wanted to know why I'd stayed, why I fought. Because this place mattered before the paperwork. I told him. Because the creek doesn't need permission to flow, and neither does the truth. I ended up speaking at a local town hall about what happened. People wanted to know how to stand up, how to hold boards accountable, how to file complaints and gather proof. I didn't give them speeches. I gave them facts, gave them the story, gave them what the land gave me. Patience, stubbornness, memory. Now the lawsuits loom, the grass grows back, the water flows, and the board that tried to bury the truth is silent. No more threats, no more drone warnings, just neighbors waving, some even smiling. The dock is peaceful again. Buckley curls at my feet. Some nights I sit out there, coffee in hand, and think about all that was almost lost, how close it came to silence, how justice, real justice, is often just the slow, quiet return of what was taken. Not a verdict, not a headline, just the earth forgiving, the water moving, the people remembering. So, I guess the question is, how far would you go to defend something nobody else believes in? Would you keep fighting when the whole world calls you a crank? Would you hold on until the ground itself speaks for you? Tell me, if it was your home, your lake, your peace, what would you do? Drop your story in the comments. Tell me if you think I was right, or if you still believe, even now, that a board can own the water. Because the land, I promise you, never forgets who listened.